Yes, this is the 10-year anniversary of Olde Masters Galleria. So I've been wanting to really showcase the signature members, and just their art is so good and I'm proud of them. I just want them to be seen. The work that I have on display today reflects my COVID. What I've been doing is watching a lot of Sherlock Holmes shows, and we got some books on Sherlock Holmes, and I've just really been getting it. I've been watching more TV than normal. And I love the old clothing and the mysteriousness of the problem solving and just the technique of Sherlock Holmes problem solving. I hear there's a book on it. I'm going to have to get that one. But so I've been inspired by all of the shows I've been watching, particularly with Jeremy Brett. So there's just the good photography, and so that's been my inspiration. Absolutely. The love and respect that I have for Olde Masters from the very beginning is I figured if I'm going to learn how to paint, I might as well learn from those who know what they're doing. And I try to do that in many different realms of my life, particularly in the art. So I started out by reading a lot of books in the Olde Masters. I've been at the library almost every day when I first started out, and just reproducing their work, because I was told that when you reproduce their work, they have solved problems along the way, and then it makes it a little bit easier for you to understand the problems to solve them yourself when you start doing originals. For those who have always had an interest in painting, what I would say to them is if you have a desire, that is the first #1 thing you need. If you got a desire, don't be afraid. Just get started. Come to Olde Masters Galleria. From your very first painting, you will be surprised on how masterful it'll look. You'll be able to put a frame on it and put it on your wall, and you'll be very proud of it, because I have a step-by-step technique that just seems to prove to be very successful with the students. To see my students have their work on display, I'm beaming. I'm so happy for them. Most of them have never been seen, and their work is so beautiful. I'm just so grateful to Maureen that they have this opportunity to be able to showcase their art, because they need to be seen. It's beautiful. My gallery is at 25 Iron Gate Park Drive in Centerville, Ohio, 45459. And you can either get on the web at www.oldemastersgalleria.com, and that could take you there, or get on Google and that'll take you there, and just please stop on in anytime and we'll show you around. I just would like to say thank you so much for the City of Springboro for this opportunity that they've given all of us to be able to showcase our art. Having venues like you and the kindness and support we've been giving, it just means so much to me and the arts, all of the students, everybody in the community. So thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
The work I have on display today is a few of the classes that I took with Cecilia to learn the Olde Masters technique. I am a fan of the Olde Masters technique. So we have Van Gogh, we have Monet, and I never believed that, in copying some other person's work, but you learn so much. So that's what I realized, that you learn a lot about their technique and how difficult it really was to, the way they did their work. So that's some of the, 3 of the works are theirs. And then I do a lot of abstract painting. So you'll see that some of my abstracts are up here, and they have been done by using paint that's left over on my palette. So I don't like to throw any paint so that they don't get into the waterways, and so I use it up, every single bit of it. So that's what, so the abstracts are those. I just wanted to say, and I love doing abstracts as well. Oh, the inspiration for some of these works is color. I'm very inspired by color, and I'm trying to do a project on how color affects the mental well-being of people all over the world, and thereby document my findings, and thereby hope that there will be more money invested in arts programs, and there'll be more people buying original art instead of just prints off, something. So I hope to inspire people to really appreciate original art. So that's my goal. Unfortunately, because of the pandemic, it has been postponed for 2 years. So now we will go to Provence and Barcelona next year in July to learn plein air painting. So plein air painting is painting out in the open. So I would like to do that, learn the techniques of plein air painting. So I'm really excited, and I really have to thank CultureWorks for that. And so excited to get a grant when you're almost 60, So it's really very encouraging. I am going to work on really large paintings this summer. There will be a lot of abstract pieces, but also a lot of sceneries. Like I want to do landscape painting, but on a large scale. So these are all really small scale paintings, but I want to increase my repertoire so that, when I apply to museums, they prefer to see large paintings. So this year I'm going to focus more on large scale paintings. Yeah. Please come on by. It's Springboro Performing Arts Center is a fantastic place. It's open almost every day, and even on Saturdays from I think 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. So please stop by and look at all this wonderful art here. These are all Cecilia students, and you can see that the quality of art is just very, very nice. And a lot of this art is available for sale at not very high prices, so please stop by. Thank you so much for having us, and I really appreciate you, Maureen, and the Springboro community and everything. Thank you.
Well, each one was kind of a work from the heart. I'm very grateful for so many blessings, and my inspiration for the top ones up here, that was from travel, as was this one from Sedona, Arizona, and this was Assisi in Italy, which I love. This top one, two of my granddaughters are in, two of my loves, and of course this is my brother, Tom, who has passed away. So my inspiration for that was somewhat grief, but somewhat joy that I was given a talent to be able to share his painting with my other brother, and we kind of traded other paintings for this one that I gave my other brother, Joe. And now this one is probably one of my pride and joys, because it was Cecilia asked us to take a masterpiece and to do our own version of it. And this was part of a painting that I used with St. Francis, Jesus and the Blessed Mother. And these are important people to my faith, which I hope to shine through everything. And this one is Consolation and Desolation, which are also symbolic of my faith and the message that I like to bring. But I thank Cecilia for being with me through all my work and continue to. This is actually the first time I have ever shown my work, and so it was a little daunting for me, but my family and I have enjoyed it greatly, and it's my great joy is to paint. I am really grateful to have such a wonderful venue with so many other great professionals to share my paintings with. And thank you for Springboro What a beautiful setting. Very beautiful. Right now, I have 7 of my youngest grandchildren in a painting of brotherhood, cooperation, and teamwork. They're playing Snap the Whip or Crack the Whip, which is a famous Winslow Homer painting, but I rewicked it for my children in the 21st century, and he did it originally to help reunite the country after the Civil War, and I think our country needs reunion today, and the kids will do it.
This piece was strictly out of my head, no pictures of any kind. I answered that same question to someone else today, the eagle, because I'm into birds big time. And this represents Alsace-Lorraine, which was now in France, but then it was in Germany and Austria since the 1870s. And that's where my great-great-grandparents came from, and they could see the Alps from home. And I named it the Carver's Chalet because I've been an advanced wood carver for 32 years, carving nothing but birds. And so the eagle's my specialty. So that's the inspiration for that. I have a bushel of blue ribbons across the country for my wood carvings. And my wife passed away 2 years ago. She was a graduate, Academy of Graduate commercial artist. She painted over 300 birds I carved. They've all sold. I don't have any birds. But I've came down with an illness, no need talking about that, in 2013. And now I'm kind of coming back to the ready to wood carve again. But I had nobody to paint my birds because she passed away. I put a blurb on Facebook. A friend answered it saying he took lessons from this person, Cecilia Brendel. I never heard of her. She has a gallery in Centerville. I contacted her, and she is fabulous. And I've been with her for 2 years next month. It took me almost 2 years to paint one painting 2 hours a week. And she taught, she never touched the painting, but I'm happy. She has won me over to canvas painting, not away from wood carving. That starts again momentarily. I have to paint all my carvings from now on. And I always felt I could do that, but I was happy to have my wife involved. And now I'm involved all the way. I'm very happy about oil painting. And I'm already planning my third painting because the first one's gone really well for 2 days. So I plan to stick with her, Brendel, and because a friend answered and told me he took lessons from her. I called her, and it's all been great. And I have only one painting, and it's not as good as everybody else's, in my opinion, and I have opinions. And here I am. So I hope to do better with the next painting.
The inspiration for all these actually are my wife's pictures. She's a photographer and she takes the pictures, I take them and I paint them. So each one has kind of a real meaning to me. This lily here is one I really like because there's a lot of things to this lily and also to the rose that it's a challenge, and that's what I'm looking for. It's a challenge. The painting up here is from Mackinac, and it's a challenge of the variety of flowers, the fence up here, the tree, and the lighting of the problem with this problem is trying to find the direction of light. It was an overcast day, there wasn't a heavy sunshine, and usually you have a nice shadow someplace. That helps a lot. But I didn't have here, so what I said, sun comes this way, and that's it, you know. And so it's a thing that I like about the painting is I get to decide how I want to present it. That's the way I like it. I'm 78 now, so I started late. It's never too late to start painting. Jack, who you probably will get to pretty soon, he's 92, so you're never too late to start painting. And I was encouraged by my wife, because these are her paintings, or her pictures, and she got me interested in it and thinking about it, and with Cia's great help. Couldn't have done it without her. She's so great to teaching things that you never think about. You learn how to mix colors and shadowing and everything. She's super with it. My next what I'm working on now is a hummingbird. It's feeding on a trumpet vine. Beautiful flower, looks like a trumpet. And show a lot of vegetation around, a lot of leaves. Leaves I seem to get I like. It's one of the things that I kind of worked on real hard, and but this hummingbird is standing there, it says fluttering in there, and he's been going in and out of this trumpet, eating, and I've got a beautiful picture of it my wife made. Marie Stein up north, she's a church up north. They had an art show and I presented there. That's been the only other, this is only my second real show. So, you love being around the other artists. It's one of the nice things about being at Cia's studio is you're around other artists. And I love the ambiance that you have in an art gallery and where we do our work at. Not work, it's pleasure, but I enjoy it very much and being around other artists. And it kind of rubs off of you. You kind of get in a zone, and she'll say, "Has it too hot or too cold in here?" I could be icicles going, and I was not even realize it. You really get involved in these paintings. Everything else is just outside. I love it.
Well, the inspiration that for the paintings that I do I love nature. So anything that pulls in nature, flowers, things like that, I'm really drawn to them. And working with Cia, I determined I have a very impressionistic style. And so that kind of led me to some of her workshops to do the Monet and the Rembrandt and the Van Gogh, so I could learn a little bit more about other types of impressionistic art styles. With the oils, I started in 2018 taking lessons with Cia. My husband gave them to me as a birthday present that year. I had done acrylics and watercolors since I was in high school, but just wasn't really happy with the types of things I was able to do. And once I discovered the oil paintings, it's just like all of a sudden this whole world opened up. Right now I am working on another, it's a landscape of a springtime along a riverbank. And so I'm kind of enjoying, taking my cue from nature right now outside and some of the plants that are starting to pop up and show us signs of spring. The advice I would give to people is to play around with a lot of different types of mediums. I recently discovered alcohol inks and all of the different ways that you can work with alcohol ink, and I took them into work and we did a little art therapy at the end of our work day last week, and but everybody said, I'm not artistic. I said, it's not about being artistic. It's about relaxing and being in the moment. Have fun with it and just sort of let it flow. And, and some people pulled up pictures that they wanted. We made these beautiful coasters just using white ceramic tiles and cork on the back, and they were like, I never thought I could do something like that. And it was really fun to kind of watch them relax and enjoy, and it's like they get this glow when they're in the moment, and it's just really fun. And to get to watch a bunch of different artists and people that work with different mediums, find out what gives you a spark. What is it that gives you that energy and makes you want to do it more? Oh, being a part of this show, this is almost overwhelming. This is the first real art show I have ever been in, so I had no idea what to expect, and I am just loving getting to talk to all the other artists. I've met several of them doing workshops with Cia, but to talk to them, to feel the energy in here, it's amazing.
Well, actually, my brother, I was her first student, about 12 to 15 years ago. I saw an article in the paper about her work and that she did portraits. And we had an 1898 black and white picture of her great-great-great-great-grandfather, and it's up there in the top. And I wanted to do that picture in color and larger. And his name is Ben Henkel, and he's from royalty in Germany, and his relatives fought in the Crusades. And their coat of arms was on the shield when they went after the infidels. But that was the inspiration, but of course she didn't start me on that. She started me on something very simple, and the twig that's over here that was in her backyard. So that's the first thing I did. And from then on, we went on to a couple other things, and of course it got more and more difficult. She does a little bit of everything. The one under the grandfather picture is out at the Arboretum. Yeah, that was outside. I remember it was 100 degrees out there when we did that. But they just got going, and so I've been with her 15 years now and still going, because she's just an incredible artist, And the inspiration she's done for everybody. Look at all these people that are here. This is her doing, and starting from that and my brother. I did one painting, I think maybe 60 years ago, because I'm 87 now. About 60 years ago, I was just sitting there and I saw a picture in, I think, National Geographic. And I went to we were doing some artwork at Kettering Art Center, I think. They had a thing over there, so I did a watercolor of an elephant, which turned out really good. In fact, it won a prize. But then the other thing that I got into was I did my grandparents on my mother's side. They lived in a cabin in North Carolina, and that was a 2x3 inch picture, black and white. So I did a blow up of that, a pretty big picture, and it came out pretty good. So then I started with her and just kept with her for 15 years. And we've done a little bit of everything now, almost everything. Right now we're working on a set of fruit pictures. We've done a pear and an apple, and I want to do 2 more fruits so I can have a set of 4 to put on the wall sometime. So that's been pretty much it. I'm a retired Dayton school employee. I worked for Dayton for 50 years and then had to retire because of my health at age 80. But this has kept me going, and of course for something to do in COVID, can't get around this, can you? Well, my brother and I, when we were kids, we were extremely poor, believe it or not. We had food stamps, they didn't even exist then. So, we had food delivered to us, when they did this. Here's a turkey for the day, we had that happen. But he and I both loved cartoons. My brother was outstanding at it. So we painted cartoons and compete with each other, who could make the best cartoons. And of course he was better than I was at it, because he was a teacher in Kettering for 30, 40 years. The ones he's got down there is a Chicago skyline, and he's got Mona Lisa. And Mona Lisa he spent 4 months on, because that was very detailed. But it really looks like Mona Lisa. Her actual picture is very small, and this is very big. And his wife has them at home. Those are the 2 that she's got on the wall at home. So they're more than precious. They're just one of a kind. He passed away 10 years ago. Well, this is a pretty incredible thing, I think. But it's really a testimony to her. All these people are here because of her. All of these people have got something to do for the rest of their life. You can't play tennis all your life, You can't swim all your life. And of course you can't do wrestling much longer than when you're young. But this you can do all your life. You can be sitting down and just sketch something. and say, hey, gee, maybe that looked better in color. And that's one thing I'd like to do, is get into sketching, but I can't get away with this. And she's taught us that oil painting is the most forgivable way to do art, because you actually could paint something, let it dry, and if you don't like what you did to it afterwards, just take some mineral oil and get rid of the whole thing and start all over again. It's really an interesting idea.
I have always loved the Impressionists. I have loved water, I have loved light, and I look for subjects that give me the opportunity to display both water and light. And that's why I joined Cecilia's Olde Masters Gallery. I did the water lilies, Van Gogh's Starry Night. Van Gogh, incidentally, is one of my favorite artists. And then with my travels, I did a lot of work with palette knife, brush, and if you notice, a lot of my paintings has water as a theme, landscapes, and that's really the inspiration. I love the play of color, light on color. When I was in India, I painted for 4 or 5 years because I was a part-time student at the Madras School of Arts. My father didn't approve of art as a major, so I majored in chemistry, worked there for 5 years, 7 years, then came to the US, studied, then worked with my husband for almost 28 years. And then when we sold our company, from 2019, I joined Cecilia Brendel's Olde Masters Gallery. And I love interacting with different artists because they all have their own styles. I love reacting and seeing different paintings, different styles, different kinds of work. I love abstract. I really love color. I'm working on the Blue Mosque. It's a painting of Turkey where we had traveled and I'd taken a photograph of it. And I'm almost finishing that. But after that, I'm thinking of looking at abstracts. There are some abstract paintings I think I could do with water and sun. I'd love to say that I'm so happy that Springboro encourages so much talent. I'm so happy to be part of the community, and I enjoy working with people, especially the art.
Well, I started at a younger age, and I missed about 60 or 70 years painting. And at the time, when my wife left and died, I wanted to paint her picture, so do a portrait, and I didn't know how. So I went to see a gentleman, and he pointed me to Cecilia, and she said, yeah, she thought I could do this. And with her coaxing and my struggling, we did it. And from there it went on to just smaller paintings, and then we decided that we do another painting, only I wanted to do bigger ones because I figured at my age, I hate to say that, at my age, there wasn't too much time left maybe. So we started on this old master here of Rembrandt in the Sea of Galilee. Took me, I'm old and slow, so it took me 5 months to do it. And she kept saying, you can do it. And I would get discouraged and she would say, you can do it. So this painting and this painting, between her and I, we got it done. Back when I was in Stiver, I graduated from Stivers, and Martha Shower was a renowned water painter, watercolorist. And one day I was sitting in her class doodling. And the next day she came in and put a series of paints down on the desk and says, you're not going to doodle anymore, you can paint. That was in 1945 and 46. And then I had a stint in the Army during the Korean War. And then I got out and I went to work for NCR, and I worked there for 45 and a half years. You know, I love to paint. I love and the gallery is such a nice place to work. It's just, part of these paintings belong to Cecilia, not because she painted it, but because when I would get down and when I would say I'm going to cash it in or something, and things didn't work right. Yes, you can do it. Yes, you can do it. And that's the way we still work. Well, I never in my life, I never ever thought I would ever do anything like be honored in any way to be in a show as nice as this one. And it is a good show. And I just never thought of it that way. I painted some before I got here, but it was just paint on a canvas. There are things that you don't know that this woman, Cecilia, tells you. So it brings out whatever talent you have, it brings it out. And if anybody says I have some talent, I thank them very much, and I appreciate it. But I'm going to take a breathing spell for a couple of weeks until the bug hits me again, and then we'll see what happens. It's not going to be another masterpiece. I can't paint masterpieces, I just paint. So, but it'll be something from life, I think. Maybe some travels, maybe something from Italy, maybe something from anywhere. Whatever hits me at the time.
When I start doing oil painting, I don't have any formal art school training. So I wanted to get the best kind of lesson I can have, but I don't know anybody in town. Therefore, I find that through some reading, in old time in atelier, people learn painting through master in their atelier setting, studio setting. Basically, apprentices learn the craft from their master, how to paint. And then I say, well, maybe I should just look for some good painting from the old masters. One of them is Velázquez, Las Meninas, and I love it. And I want to learn from this painting. Therefore, I dedicate about, I would say, 3 weeks' time, starting from drawing, and then do the underpainting, and then several layers of colors on top of it. And to finish this about 3 weeks. I learned a great deal from this painting. There's a saying, one famous painter say, the Velázquez is painter's painters. Is painter's painter. He really know how to show the effect of things without actually try to describe the detail of things. And that is something is magical. I learned it. It's like the light, the color, the shadow, and you put it into right, position and also composition, then everything becomes really a great masterpiece like this. I started in 2017. This is about 1 year after I started from nothing, from scratch. This is basically, I started 2017 just by coincidence. I went to some place to take a night kind of weekly class for about 2 months. Beginners oil painting. And then what I learned there basically is, I don't need to be afraid to do the oil painting. That's it. And then later on, I just started on my own as like apprentice of the old master. That's the approach I took. I did this for about 3 years. I copied the major work of the old masters, starting from, this is not the first one. I start from Caravaggio, and then Rubens, and then Rembrandt, then Velázquez, and then Vermeer, and then Constable. Last one I finished is Renoir. because I want to went through the history of the painting in that golden years from 17th century to the 19th century. The major old masters, so that I learned their kind of things by copying their work. After I done the last one, which is Ren Wall's painting, I say I'm done with the copying the old master. That was 2019. Then for the last 2 years, then I just start my own painting. I have all my own painting now because I learned this from the old master. I can do still life. I also can figure painting and portrait, and also genre painting. And my wife is a very good model, so I have using her for several of my recent paintings. I feel very honored and humbled to have this opportunity that, Cecilia, I went to her place, took a workshop with her and learned a lot from her. She's so nice, and we talked, and she came to my place, look at my painting. She said, she wanted me to have a piece here. So I said, okay, that would be great. I'm really grateful to her for this great opportunity and for you to make this happen for all of us.
It was a direct observation. It was no picture, it was the real violin, okay? And I was just impressed with trying something that was so difficult. It was a challenge, and I think I made it, yeah. And I can tell you a human interest story. When I was 10, I would get on a bus, because my mother was working, didn't know what I was doing, and I would go to the Art Institute, okay? I love art, I'm fascinated with art my whole life, okay? Yeah, but then I went on to, run nightclubs and this and that, and then you get back into it later, but I'm getting ready to get back into it. It is never too late. It is the most awesome thing to do, and to express, yourself in that painting. Because in every painting I ever did, I always hid a little piece of myself, and I would challenge people to find it. So it was kind of interesting. I just would like to share for everyone to get involved, to paint, to get involved with Sia, the greatest teacher in the world, okay, and just enjoy the arts.